Good news for Gentiles. That is the topic of today's study here in Bible Study Hub. Welcome on in. I am Ann Wiggins. So glad to be with you as always. It is Wednesday, March 5th. If you happen to follow along with us daily, these videos go live at 6 a.m. Monday through Friday on YouTube and Facebook, Bible Study Hub. We are in the Gospel of John, chapter 10, and we will be reading our larger portion. This is Wednesday, so we've done this every day, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. I think it's really valuable to read and reread the same passage many times because you start to notice and see things on the third, fourth, fifth time that maybe you missed the first few times. You can't plumb the depths of the Word of God. There's always more. Unbelievable. But we will be focusing today when we go back on just chapter 16. That's where we're really going to dig in. And I'm not going to reread it because we will have just read it. So pay careful attention to verse 16. Here we go. Legacy Standard Bible is the version that I use. John chapter 10, 11 to 16. I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd lays down his life for the sheep. He who is a hired hand and not a shepherd, who is not the owner of the sheep, sees the wolf coming and leaves the sheep and flees. And the wolf snatches and scatters them because he's a hired hand and is not concerned about the sheep. I am the good shepherd, and I know my own, and my own know me, even as the Father knows me, and I know the Father, and I lay down my life for the sheep. Now, here's where we're going to camp out this today. And I have other sheep, which are not from this fold. I must bring them in also, and they will hear my voice, and they will become one flock with one shepherd. Good news for Gentiles. Back, I don't even know. I'm trying to think of how many years, maybe 15, 20 years ago. We were in Arizona. My husband is a pastor. We had a church out there, and there was a family in our church who had devoted their entire lives, this couple, to foster care. Not that stereotypical, sometimes you hear terrible stories about foster care for children. These people were devoted, true followers of Jesus Christ, and they had never been able to have their own children. So they just decided, they were both in their early 70s, I think, by this point, that they would spend their entire lives taking in foster children, caring for them, teaching them about Jesus, and then, releasing them at the right time as the system would dictate. Well, the woman ended up getting cancer, and it was quick. She did not last very long, and she passed away. And we had her service at our church. And I will never forget, and I don't know if I can say this without crying, I will never forget that funeral because row after row after row after row of adults and children, all ages, who had been in this couple's home came back to honor their foster mom at her service. And they sat there and they cried and cried. And then they would get up and give testimony. This was the only person when I was a little girl. This couple were the only people who ever loved me. And I knew I was safe. And I knew I was secure in their home. It was the hardest service I think I have ever been a part of, to watch how these people impacted the lives of these children who were not their own children, but they welcomed them into their family. That is the best picture I can give you, except with the added benefit of being adopted, that Jesus does for us. He has his family. That's Israel. They're his chosen people. Jesus was Jewish. It's his heritage. It's his family. Those are that's the people, right? And then you have this other group called Gentiles. That's me. And probably, but not always, it might be you too. When I was a little girl, I assumed I was Jewish. I remember I was about 7 when I found out I was a Gentile. Just broke my heart. I had no idea. My mom said something and I responded, well, as a Jew. She was like, what are you talking about? You're not Jewish. I'm like, I'm not one of God's chosen. No, she said, it was a real blow. It took me a while to kind of reestablish my identity as a Gentile. Anyway, where I'm going with this here, I'm rambling all over the place today, is that God did not have to reach out to us Gentiles. He had his family, the Israelites. the Jewish people. They're his. And instead of being like, yeah, those Gentiles out there are disgusting, which by the way, they pretty much were. Anytime you have a group of people who are worshiping a demon god, which is what the Gentiles largely did, you have massive, gross behavior. It's disgusting. And Jesus could have easily looked at the Gentiles and said, yuck, I don't want any of those people in my house. I don't want any of those people in my family. They can take it elsewhere. And he didn't. When he says, I have other sheep, not of this fold. Do you remember way back last week, I said it's important to understand that fold is the Jewish people, the Israelites. And then there's the flock, which is all believers in Jesus. And what Jesus is saying is, I've got others out there that I'm going to bring into the fold, into my family, and we will be one. There will always be Jew and there will always be Gentile. Did you know when you get to heaven, if you know Jesus and that's where you're going, you'll still be you when you get there. You'll have your personality. You'll have all your strengths without any of your weaknesses. You'll have all the joys of you with none of the downsides of you, none of the sinful parts of you. You'll just be you to the fullest part. It's an amazing thing, but you'll still be a Gentile if you're a Gentile. But we will be there with our Jewish Messianic brothers and sisters for eternity, welcomed into that sheep pen, welcomed into that family, adopted as if we had been there all along, even though we weren't. And God just shepherds all of us, one shepherd, one flock. There we all are. Now, listen, there are people who take that to the extreme and say he wipes out the Jew and Gentile thing and I just said that. No, he doesn't. The Jewish people have been and will forever be his chosen people. If you're Jewish, that is amazing. What a blessing for you. Thanks for welcoming in us Gentiles because we don't have anything going for us. But listen, if you're a Gentile, make sure you love and support the Jewish people. Remember back when we studied Genesis and God said to Abraham that those who bless you will be blessed and those who curse you will be cursed. That still stands true today. Bless the Jewish people. Maybe you're saying, well, what if they don't accept Jesus as the Messiah? I don't care. Bless the Jew. I do care. But in relation to what I'm talking about, bless them anyway. Those are God's special people, and they have been through so much. Take time, if it seems appropriate, to let them know we have your back. We love you. We support you, not to the exclusion of everybody else in the world. We are supposed to care for everybody. But the Jewish people have been through more than any other people group on the planet forever. No one has survived what they have survived. It's awful. And to this day, you see the satanic attack against them. So those are going to be forever the ones who believe in Jesus as Messiah. Those will be your Jewish brothers and sisters in the house of God with him as the chief shepherd over all of us. Take the time to love and support them today. Let them know that they matter. And who knows if maybe God will use that to bring them into the fold with him as the shepherd and the Messiah. Be open to it, support the Jewish people, and love them. That's it for today. Thank you so much for joining us here on Bible Study Hub. I will see you tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. if you want to get up early, but you can watch these recordings anytime. They'll go live at 6. All right. Have a wonderful day. I'll see you tomorrow.